think I did 22 separate renders. This mic is kind of shitty. I don't even fucking know what to say. I don't have a script or anything. Man, I guess here we go.
NU-11 Null
Sector Podcast.
All right, well, in theme, this is very unscripted for the first episode just because if I don't get something out, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. So here's the first episode of the Null Sector podcast, titled Null Sector because it's a play on my producer name, haha, hee hee. This is going to get better, more polished as it goes, probably significantly by the second episode. But for now, I just want something to be out. And basically, this is kind of just like a bit of extra content. If you watch my YouTube channel, I imagine that's the only reason you're here. I'd be surprised if you got here naturally. If you didn't, I have a YouTube channel, which is centered around making music. And this is just kind of the extra spicy stuff on the side. Me talking and sharing what has been going on for the past week, answering questions if they ever get sent, and discussing various other things. This will not be the official intro. It's all going to change, but here's day one. So here we go. Let's do first podcast so I can say I did it and we can all move on. So for me, making this is pretty significant. I have a constant battle with creating content when it comes to consistency and especially for quality. I get like in a fight with myself every time something is not exactly how I want it to be, and I don't really want that to be the case anymore. So I'm going to make an attempt to make that not the case, which is just another reason why I'm just doing this. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm posting it now because if I don't, I probably won't do it at all, which is the main thing I'm trying to make stop happening. All that. This will be kind of one of those things that people, probably even myself, will look back on. I've done YouTube before, man. I've been posting content since I think 2015. Across multiple channels, way too fucking many channels. I've never been consistent. I've never released similar content, and I've never like taken it really, really seriously. I've also never had a healthy relationship with YouTube and content creation in general. All of these things are things that I would like to change. So one of which is going to be the healthy relationship with content creation. In the past, I guess I'll do it now. So if you don't know, I used to go by a different name. My online personality used to be Studio Giblets, which is a not so inconspicuous parody of Studio Ghibli. My username on Discord is still Studio Giblets. That'll probably never change. A long time ago in 2017, I got into, this was right at this was actually sooner. I think I started watching in 2016. There was this huge era of animated content, specifically like storytime animator content. I mean, this was like the birthplace of like Jaden Animation and James and, man, I haven't talked to these people in ages. Not that I talked to all of them specifically, but basically, long story short, I saw all of them and I said, hey, I want to do that. And so I tried and I just posted a video randomly. And like I happened through long convoluted stories that I might talk about later. I basically got in touch with some of the bigger people at the time, and little did I know it, I was like networking really well. I like had no idea how lucky I was. I didn't know anything. I had no idea what I was doing. And I accidentally like perfectly networked into some of the best people I could have talked to who are currently doing those kinds of videos. I mean, I ended up not talking to James directly, but I was in a call with him and hanging out with a bunch of their friends. Anyway, I'm still making this too long. Long story short is I got my reach pretty far out. I got the attention of some of the people who were like top of the game at that time. And then through various unintentional networking things, I got into actual contact with them. And like, man, I had it all like lined up. I could have really made like a career out of that if it was perfect for the time, which unfortunately for my personal life at that time, it was not. So it just didn't happen. I posted some videos off and on, and then I just stopped, and the channel basically died. I mean, it never it never truly had a life. For a little while there, I was getting some views, but more or less, it stayed relatively stagnant since I started posting, and I've had tons of channels. It's a problem. I always post new videos on new channels, and there's no reason, and I do it anyway. So if there's a piece of advice, don't make a ton of channels, please. Stick to one, maybe two at the most. I mean, unless you've really got a pipeline for it. One channel, have a second channel for everything unrelated to the first one. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm pretty sure, I'm really crossing my fingers that it's going to work a lot better than what I've done in the past, because nothing really has. I've been doing this for a while now. I've been doing this, oh man. In 2 years, I will have been on YouTube, at least a presence, for a decade, which is wild. I've never taken off. I've never, made it. I've never had a channel outside of my main one that's been above, I think it was 3,000 subscribers at the peak. I lost a bunch for various reasons. But I never took off. And I think that is largely due to consistency in posting schedule and also consistency in the video type. The more I speak, the more I'm realizing I should like really just type up an outline. I should do it. But I only have 55 minutes to record in here. So hopefully all of this is not for nothing, and I can actually edit this into something.
I think you caught me dreaming out my window.
So history aside, I want to just start by talking about what I want to do now. It's been a long time before I committed to making like content consistently, mostly because I convinced myself that I couldn't. So I'm trying to make that not true anymore. What I really want to do, it's not unique and it's been done a million times before. Man, I just want to make music. That's all I want to do. I want to make music, and I want to have a YouTube channel that is loosely tied to that, and then a secondary channel that may or may not have nothing to do with it, which is fine. Over the years, I've made gaming content, 2D animation, 3D animation, voice acting content, borderline educational content, fiction, casting calls. Like I've done a lot. I've done a lot of genres, and none of them blend really. And I posted them all in the same place. And I don't think I'm ever going to take down my old videos, or at least private them. So at any point you can look at my old YouTube channel, like very first one, which was JLM Studios. And man, there's a couple imposters, but I'm the one with the cool actual like text logo that's like blue and greenish. But you can see on that channel, it was mostly like voice acting. Like pretty much all of it was voice acting, because that's like what got me into making any kind of content to begin with, like back in 2013 and 2012. But man, I have one kind of crowning achievement, and it's used to be on that channel. I don't know how many people listening to this podcast would know what VAA is, but man, it was an old forum style website, and it standed for the Voice Acting Alliance. And like, if you know about this, man, you are like not only an OG, but you're getting old, bro. I hate to break it to you, you're getting old. If you know what that is, I'm sorry, but man, Crispin Freeman was actually involved with that. He had an account on there, but like barely used it. I don't remember if he helped conceive the Voice Acting Alliance or just like showed up, but he was directly involved at some point. But it was an old traditional forum style website, just dedicated to voice acting. And I got really involved. I posted a lot, and like, man, it died eventually. Reasons kind of being unclear. I made a video about it on the old channel. Man, I have ADHD. I also have autism. So I ramble a lot, which is why a podcast is not that bad of an idea when it's absolutely unconstrained. So if anybody wants to listen to me ramble for 40 minutes, they can. And if they don't, that's cool. This just goes out into the ether. Anyway, goddamn. The video that I made on that original channel that I had, JLM Studios, which was voice acting centered, I had basically casted, pitched a project, and then dubbed a undubbed anime, and then did all of the sound design for it a couple times, which is honestly, it was pretty cool. I'm kind of proud of my young self for doing all that, because like nobody helped me. I just did it all from scratch. So I had to kind of learn how to direct, to voice act, of course, to do sound design, and all of that has led to my still audio-based content creation nowadays. I'm just a lot better at it. But for those of you that watch anime, you may have heard of an anime called 1 Week Friends. I can't remember the Japanese names. It's something like Ishuke Friends. I can't quite remember. But it never had a dub. They did actually make a live action show not that long ago. I never watched it, but there was never an English dub. And so I wanted that to change, and I decided to make my own. And I did. I did the first entire episode from scratch, and I posted it on YouTube. Man, that was horrible. Not the dub. I mean, it wasn't great, but man, this was at the height of YouTube, the issues that first began with monetizations, ads. Like, this was like right before and at the start of the adpocalypse, I think. Like, this was right when the content ID system actually came out. So anybody who was posting like AMVs or just anime, like, I don't know, I'm sure many of you remember there was a time in which you could just watch an entire anime or a movie on YouTube, just posted in several parts. You can't do that anymore. You haven't been able to do that for a while. Unfortunately, fan dubs are not safe. They are just as susceptible. So I tried to get around this by doing, I think I did 22 separate renders of this like 30-minute long fan dub. And each render, I would slightly change like this ugly ass border around the entire video. I tried mirroring it. I tried putting like this fireplace texture. It was like, I tried so much shit to distract the ID system. And eventually it did work. It did. It looked horrible. It was watchable. Didn't look very good. So what I did was I put in the comments down below just a link to the unaltered episode, the unaltered fan dub that I did. So if anybody was savvy enough to just read the damn comments, the description, you could just go watch it at the link I shared, and it'd be great. So here's the really sad part. So this I have to look at the statistics. I wonder if I could pull them up. I might be able to pull them up right now, actually. Let me just take a gander here. I am signed in. Goddamn, let's see. Okay, so JLM Studios has a whopping, let's see, how many 688 subscribers. Oh, wow. And wow, oh my God, I haven't looked at this in so long. So on the main page here of this channel, I have a section called Amazing VA Friendos. And these were some people that I had met on the VAA, and some of them had been in that fandom that I did. It's not here anymore. It got taken down off YouTube. That's the long story made short here. Basically, this fandom that I was trying to fight the content ID system on, I did eventually get it to save. However, I'm trying to see the view count here. I posted a bunch of shit afterwards, like private videos that I made. Here it is. Okay. So I believe it got like completely taken down, which is so sad. I don't know if I actually have it anymore. Oh, nah. No, bro, I think it legit got removed completely. Oh, that's so sad. Well, you'll just have to believe me, I guess. One day if I get into streaming on Twitch, we could watch this, because I still have access to basically the original, I think. But it had somewhere in the neighborhood of 100,000 views over time. And that's what is still my crowning achievement, which is terrible because I did this in 2016. But it got 100-something thousand views and a lot of comments, I think 1,000 comments or something like that. And for me, I've never had a video, I don't even think, break 1,000. That's not true. I've had 2. But normally my average views is below 300, usually below 30 nowadays. So this was very significant for me. I mean, nothing like this had ever happened. And it's so sad because it was right when all of that shit was going down with content IDs. So it's gone. It's gone forever. I have the file, or at least a good enough version of it that I can still see on my channel here. It's blocked. But I can get it. And maybe one day, if I garner enough people who care, we can watch it on stream or something like that on Twitch. Twitch may or may not get mad at me. I don't know how that works, but we'll find out. The only other video I had that performed somewhat well, it's weird. So, man, I cannot speak. I cannot stay on track. So as you know, I had this first channel, JLM Studios. The second one was Studio Giblets, which I mentioned earlier. So it's a little weird. I actually hadn't made that channel yet. When I first got my viewership from other storytime animators and stuff like that back in the day, like James and oh man, I forget his name now. I don't remember his name. That's crazy. Anyway, I actually posted the first little animation I made on the old JLM Studios channel, and it got 13,000 views. So that's crazy. So I decided to make a new channel called Studio Giblets and have that only dedicated to animations, which it did not stay that way for very long. That channel is my current channel that you may or may not know of, depending on how you found this podcast. But my main channel is now called Null, but it's my producer handle, so it's not NULL, it's NU-11, like the numbers 11. It's so annoying. It looks cool, but man, telling people how to find it has been horrible. Anyway, so this channel, which is just Knoll nowadays, it used to be called Studio Giblets, and all of those videos are still available. I haven't privated any of them. You can go watch them at any point. You can just see how inconsistent I was. I went from animation to kind of music to back to animation to Twitch content to like daily Overwatch gaming uploads. Like I tried to be an Overwatch Twitch streamer for a while, and I'm pretty sure that little segment right there is what actually killed the channel. Like I still had some remaining viewers, like one or two stragglers who would comment like, "Hey, I remember your animations. You gonna do those ever again?" And I'd say probably by like the 5th daily Overwatch fucking upload, those disappeared, and like no one cared. I killed the rest of my viewer base, which, you know, it makes sense. And then eventually after that, I started posting like edited game videos, like heavily edited comedic game videos that didn't really take off either. And more or less, that's all I've been doing. Was after that, I eventually, I would just make fun, mostly, it's weird, but mostly plain game associated videos. I'm very into simulators of any kind, thanks to my friend Ben. It's all his fault. It's your fault. You made me do this, Benjamin. But I'm into anything that is a simulator. I'm trying to get into racing sims. I'm not there yet. I need to get peripherals and such, but I have 4 flight sims. I have the pedal, the joystick, the HOTAS. I mean, that is partly the joystick, but you know, I got it all. I'm on my way to getting VR. I don't know if I want the Quest 3. I don't know if I should save for it because it's not out yet, or if I should just grab the Quest 2. We'll find out. I probably won't be able to wait and just get the Quest 2. Anyway, I transitioned from those usually War Thunder themed edits of just comedic gaming War Thunder content. Then I finally decided, fuck it. I like making music. I've been trying to get better at it, and I'm like actually getting better at it, finally. And so I decided I'm going to actually post music content on this channel from now on. Like, that's pretty much it. And then I did. And so far it's going well, I think. I don't know. We'll find out the more I post. I couldn't actually tell you, but hopefully it does. Hopefully it goes well. Basically, I made music ever since I was a kid. I mean, way before I ever started doing YouTube, way before I even tried voice acting or animation. I mean, like literally the second I was able to touch a piano, like a cheap battery-powered keyboard. It used, I think it was 8 D-cell, like thick boy batteries. I don't even know. I had to start using that around like 5, 6, maybe 8. Ever since then, I mean, I immediately started trying to make like little songs. I like to joke around that I accidentally invented Nightcore because I would make songs and then speed them up because I thought it sounded better. And I thought it was funny because I was a child and that equals funny. But there was also a half of me that legitimately thought it sounded better sped up. So that was fun. It pains me to say that all of that stuff is gone. I don't think I'll ever find a way to get it back. Various complicated reasons. I don't think I will ever see any of those files ever again, which like breaks my heart. I hate it so much. I wish I still had them. I don't. So I started there. I need some water. You ready for some ASMR? Some ASMR slurpees? tasty. Anyway, I started doing music ever since I was a kid, and then I kept with it. It's the one constant that has never changed with me in the almost, God forbid, 25 years that I have been here. I have always done music related something. It's never changed. Maybe not every year, but at least once, like every 2 years, I made something musical. And I transitioned from using Audacity on a Windows XP Dell laptop with, oh my God, this is crazy, with a Toucan Sam cereal box microphone that couldn't be like bigger than your pinky finger that we got out of a cereal box. That's what I used to record on. And the way that I would record is I would lay the microphone down on the speaker, the external speakers of the keyboard. Oh my God. I forgot. It's all coming back. So I went from that, and my brother got an iPad, which was fancy. That was cool as hell. I was like, it may have been the first or second generation because it was still early on. So naturally, GarageBand was a thing. And that was the next natural step forward. That was the evolution. I started producing. Well, producing is that's, I don't know if I would use that word for it, but I started making things on GarageBand, and I had a great time. You know, I thought some of my stuff sounded great. It did not. And most of this is actually still available to listen to. This stuff still exists, and it's on SoundCloud. You know, I don't know what. Let me check. I don't know what it's under, but I know it's on SoundCloud. I have multiple accounts, or at least I used to. There we go. Okay, SoundCloud. So it is under. Oh my God, I deleted that account. It's under a different account now. I don't know. I don't know which one. I don't know. You can find me. You can find me if you try. I believe it went through the same process as this channel, or my YouTube channel. I believe it used to just be Studio Giblets on SoundCloud, and then I also changed that to Null, which is NU-11. Gotta tell everyone because I made a fancy name. Yeah, okay, that's what it is. So all my old shit that I made, go to SoundCloud and just literally type in NU-11, and my logo, as far as we can go for now. I don't know what is changed in the future. It probably will. My logo for now is a triangle with 3 little triangles on the sides. It's like a inverse glorified Triforce. I never played Legend of Zelda, so that was quite the discovery for me, but that's okay. You can find that there. It's got, as far back as we can go, it's got the oldest stuff that I made in GarageBand. I don't have anything from before. So you can listen to all that old shit. There's a lot of it, and it's all bad. None of it's good. Not a single thing. And then I kind of went on a music drought for a while. I focused on animation. I didn't try making music anymore. It was always just like a thing I kind of did in my spare time. And for me, I never actually believed I could do it. It was kind of just like this horrible endless loop of me wanting to make something and then discovering that I can't, and it never sounds like I want it to, and something just always sounds a little wrong. And that's how it went for, years. I just kind of accepted that sometimes, for reasons that I don't understand, it actually sounds good, very like abruptly. And then the rest of it sounds horrible, and I can't tell you why. And that's been the worst part of the learning process for me up until this point, is not understanding why something sounds good or bad. When I do something and it's like inspiration and I'm like, oh my God, this sounds great. When I don't know why, man, that gets under my skin. Oh, I guess, yeah, you know what? I guess an equal amount of when I don't, though. That's probably worse, actually. Yeah, that's definitely that's definitely worse because it happens now. It happens right now. There's literally a song that is coming soon. I have not released it yet at the time of recording of this podcast, which is, should I share? I probably shouldn't because I don't know when I'm going to post this. Whatever. I recorded this on February 20th, 2023. And as of right now, I completed the song yesterday. I've been working on it for about 2 or 3 weeks off and on. And the thing for me is I talked with my partner about this a lot the other night. My current big question and my producing journey, which hopefully is like gone way farther by the time somebody would ever come back and listen to this first episode. Hopefully I'm so much better by then. But right now, the thing I don't get is the disconnect between how something sounds in my headphones and how something sounds on various other speakers. Saying it as simple as that makes me sound very like uneducated or naive about the process. Actually know a lot about it and most the answers to that question. Basically, I need to buy some studio monitors just to confirm to myself once and for all the issue is my 2010 JBL Prius speakers and not my headphones. Because my headphones are halfway decent. At the time, I've been producing on V-Moda crossfades, not the second ones, the first ones, for a while now. And they have decent frequency response. I think, I don't know the specs, but like they're good enough, you know? They're decent. I when I bought them, I wanted to find a pair that both looked good, had a decent response, and could handle bass tones, but not like bullshit like like beats or something like that. I wanted like something halfway decent to actually produce on. And then I don't really have a good point of reference. For a while I had like a TV sound bar with like a subwoofer that I would play the songs out of, but you know, unless you're listening on studio monitors, everything's always going to sound different. And I've known for a long time that the answer is just I shouldn't be using headphones. Rule number 1, don't use headphones unless you have like very decent monitors, some decent cans for producing on that are made for it. Otherwise, don't use them. Invest in some studio monitors. I'm getting there. I'm going to as soon as I can. I'm really hoping I'm going to notice the difference because I have talked to so many other producers who have said that was their biggest like night and day first revelation for producing is they had similar questions to me. They got producing monitors. It all changed. They no longer had questions. And going forward, producing on those has like made all of their mixes, their everything more consistent, sound better, less questions. So I don't know. Like I said, I have a 2010 Toyota Prius. When I got it, I made sure that I got the fancy JBL premium sound package because that was one that was available for sale used over a different Prius that I think cost like $1,000 less or something like that. So I got the one with the premium audio because I can and I want that. The thing is they're from 2010. They're 13 years old as of the time of recording. So I don't know how much I can trust them, to be honest. And I really don't think they're that good. So I don't really know what to do. That's my main problem at the moment. I listen to a lot of drum and bass, a lot of dubstep, a lot of melding of the two. Probably somewhere in the genre of like death step and like metal vocals, emo vocals. I don't know the name for it now, but Spotify has honed in on like this fusion of drum and bass, dubstep, deathstep, tear out, and like emo. If you just shove all that into one genre, that's like mostly what I listen to, minus like completely non-related genres that I just like also. I'm used to listening to that, which has some, like, especially with tear out dubstep, has like these nasty screaming bass lines that like they will really test your ears in the speakers. So I know what it sounds like. I mean, I worked in that Prius for like 2 years every day for like 8 to 12 hours. And all I did was listen to podcasts and play that kind of music. So I know what the songs I listen to sound like on those speakers. I don't really have another point of reference. So when I make my music, I will make it in segments. And I have always will be, wow, speaking. I have always been a fan of Iron Man ever since it first came out, and I watched it ages and ages ago. And because of that, I like to iterate on my songs, and whatever progress I make for the day, I'll render it out and call it song name, whatever it is, and then Mark 1 or Mark 2. And if you see a new one and it's Mark 8 or Mark 9, that means I went and worked on my song for a bit and rendered it out. And the reason I do that is because almost always I'm going to be getting into my car directly afterwards, and I want to listen to it on speakers that I'm used to listening this kind of music on. That's where I think the flaw is, because I don't know if that's a valid point of reference or something that I should be doing. I feel like it makes sense just because that's the only speakers I really listen to that kind of music on, so I know what it should sound like specifically on those speakers. And that's where part of the disconnect is, because even given that, I mean, just take like a Grab It song or a Fox Stevenson song. You play that, know what it sounds like, listen to it a ton, and then I'll play the track I just finished directly after, and there's something off, you know? And I know it's in my mixing. I'm like 90% sure it's in my mixing, and I need, or you know what? Not mixing. Mixing has to do with volume. It's in my EQing. EQing is the issue. I am almost certain I'm having a ton of overlap on higher frequencies and mid-range.
Hello. This is Editing Jake. Sorry for the interference in the next section. It only lasts for about 30 seconds. I have no idea what happened. Okay, back to the podcast.
And I know my basses are probably competing with each other too, because part of my sound design is just like layering, and I don't know if I'm really turning them down enough. I don't know. These are the questions I currently have that I'm hoping I figure out answers to. I really just need to sink my teeth in and watch a bunch of EQing videos, but it's like I probably just need to get someone to teach me, because EQing, like really just sitting down and EQing a song, I've never really done. I don't really do that, which is probably why there's an issue. God damn. I don't really do that. I'm curious if other people do this, but for me, the only EQing I really do, I mean, I use Ableton. That's my DAW of choice. I have never really used anything else unless you consider Audacity a DAW back in the day. But I use Ableton, and I use just the standard EQ8 filter, and I'll put it on everything. And I mean, I automate it all the time. I mean, constantly. If something's too bassy, I'll cut off the low end, I'll roll off the top end. If it's too loud, I mean, I'll use it as like a building up to a drop. I mean, EQ8 is the most used plugin that I use. Because of that, I basically put it on every single track, which there's probably a better way to do it. Currently, that's the way I do it. And by putting it on every single track, I'm like, as I add something, I'm EQing out the part I don't want. So that's where I get confused about what I'm supposed to do at the end. And I bet there's a good solution. I just haven't found it yet. I don't know what to do, when I EQ every single track to sound, every single MIDI and audio track to sound like I want. And then I get to the final master. I'm like, well, what do I do to EQ this? I don't totally understand. So that's what I'm gonna have to learn, but we'll get there. For now, I'm just hoping I can use any of this audio whatsoever. Like, this may not even be posted. Hopefully it is. I'm currently in my local library. They are very, very great. They have what they call a learning lab, which is like a little studio setup. They have a Mac. They have a very basic like MPK mini keyboard, an Intuos, what is this, Medium Pro drawing tablet, a whiteboard, a little green screen. I'm looking around, so I'll probably hear that, but some LED light panels, some cameras. Here's the thing. For the audio setup, everything's pretty cool in here. The audio setup, they've got the classic AT2020, which is the mic I used for ever. I still have it. It still works too. Audio-Technica is amazing. But they have the newer version of the AT2020 USB. And I don't know if just the newer version is worse, but it sounds different. It sounds different than I remember. So I'm not crazy happy with the audio quality. There's not a lot I can do. I'm going to process the hell out of this when I get a chance. I threw my mask, my face mask that I wear over top this as a bit of a pop filter. I don't know if it is working to an extent, but I'm going to throw a denoiser on it. I'm going to throw a compressor, saturator, if I can find it, de-esser. I don't have money right now, so I'm trying to find free versions, but if I can find everything that I need, I'll make it work. I'm kind of over pirating plugins. Not that it's not about the ethics. Don't really care about that too much, especially from like big companies like Adobe. You've seen the memes. It's like it's always morally correct to pirate Adobe products. I'm not going to get into any of that. But as far as pirating, it's a convenience thing, right? Like, that's what it's always been. Pirating wouldn't exist if attaining the product wasn't convenient. And that's kind of the thing. Like, that's why, well, at one point, Netflix and other streaming services, if they were cheap enough, people would just do that instead of pirate it because it's so much easier. Pirating is like, man, sometimes it takes a lot of effort and it's not really worth it, especially with viruses and shit. You got to know a lot about internet security, and which I do, but not always when I was younger. But man, I got really sick really fast of pirating every goddamn plugin that I would use. And that's why, as of now, I have none. I don't do it anymore just because it's so annoying. I cannot deal. So I have Serum, of course, which I got through the Splice the Splice rent to own program, which is great. It's fantastic. I highly recommend. I pay $10 a month to own Serum if I don't miss a payment by the end of it, which I haven't so far. So yay. I think I will own Serum in a couple more months after I finish my last payment, and I will have it for forever, which is great because I could not afford to buy it straight out. And I don't think there's any interest. There's no like additional cost to do it this way. It's just easier. As far as Ableton, I'm still not using a purchased copy. I don't think I'm going to say it. Fuck it. Who's going to care? Ableton, you can continue to use trials of Ableton as long as you have a different email account. You don't have to delete it. You do not have to reinstall it. You don't have to unlink everything. Literally all you have to do, as far as I remember, I haven't done it in a minute, but you just go into your app data and you delete the files there for Ableton in your, I think it's roaming or local, whichever has Ableton. You delete that there. You make sure you're not signed in on the Ableton website. That's very important. So sign out if you are on whatever browser you use. Delete the files in %appdata% for roaming or local, whichever Ableton folder is in there. Delete it, and then mosey on over to the Ableton website, create a new account with the new email address, log in, and restart Ableton. When you restart Ableton, it'll ask you to verify your install, and then it'll jump over and check your app data and also check what you last logged into on their website. And if it sees a new login, it just goes, oh, okay, so this is a fresh download. And then it licenses you for another 3 months, I think it is. I've been doing that for years, literally years. I'm too poor. I cannot afford Ableton. I love it. It's great. But damn, I don't have $700 and there's no payment plan. So if you want to do that, it's an option. It really is. Just create emails. I have a ton and it works. Anyway, that's not where I was going with this conversation. Yeah, I have not. I've just if this isn't a showcase of how my mind works, I don't know what is. ADHD is just at its peak. One branching thought connecting to another branching thought that continues branching so far away that you couldn't even find your way back to the original one. And that's been, God, the last 30, 40 minutes. How long have I been talking? God damn. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I should probably cut this off here. My time in this little studio setup here ends at 5, and it is 4:43. So what I will do is I'll say this. I rambled a lot today, but that's mostly because I don't have a script in front of me. More talking points than an actual script, but I'm going to refine this for the next episode. We're going to get this actually consistent. And for those of you that want to listen, there will be familiar segments that are continued through each episode that do not exist yet. Those will start. There will also be an opportunity to send questions in that I will answer whenever they are received. That will start next podcast episode as well. I need time to set these things up. But for now, man, I just want to get some out there, just because if I don't, I won't start. So I'm starting. Give myself deadlines, you know? So soon, it's not set up, there will be an email for you to traditionally email in a question, and then I will see it. I will address it. We'll have an entire section dedicated to that. That may not happen for a very long time, simply because no one will be sending in questions. But when they do, we will answer them. And then eventually, when things get, if they do get big enough around here, we'll do like an actual Q&A dedicated podcast, which would be fun. I have always wanted to do a Q&A ever since I started doing my animation channel, where that was like one of the most popular videos to do was a Q&A channel. Q&A video. Anyway, lots of things in store ahead. As I said, this podcast, think of it as like supplemental content to the YouTube channel. You can come here in a much more chill environment, hear me ramble and talk for like 40 minutes if that's something that you desire. And it'll probably be related to the upcoming videos and previous videos and stuff like that. So stay tuned, more to come. Check back when you can. I will have a consistent schedule and announcement for all of this next episode. For now, I don't. Like I said, I'm just getting this out there. The plan for now is one video every 2 weeks and one podcast episode every single week. That is the plan. I do not know what dates those will be coming out on. Preferably, I want them, equally spaced apart. But we will see, all in good time, you know. I'm really, really hoping that like 2 years from now, I'll sit down, right, with my setup all ready to go, start recording. You know, at this point, I'm comfortable with it. I'm super comfortable with it. I already have like things memorized. And I'm like, you know, oh, welcome to the Null Sector podcast episode, I don't know, 576, episode 120, you know, something like that. That'd be very cool. That's another like little thing that I've always wanted to do. And I've never, you know, been able to do that. So we're going to see. Thank you all for listening. If you got this far, I always say this on my long ass podcast. I've had too many in the past. That's a story for another day. If you've gotten this far, you're very cool. Very awesome. And I will see you next episode. And we will get much more consistent, much more polished, hopefully, and good things from there. So hopefully I can use all this audio and I did not just ramble for 50 minutes for no reason. We will find out. Love you all. See you later. Bye-bye.
NU-11 Null
Sector Podcast.